This is part 4, the final part of the SSIS Integration Packages Overview. In this session, we'll discuss the new OLS inventory package. We covered earlier the OLS product package, and if you recall, that package was responsible for adding items that are that the business wants to sell online to the product catalog, and we set the isOnline property of that item to 1. So if we take a look here at an example, we'll notice that at this point we've run the the OLS product package, and the item has been added to Commerce Server. The base properties have been set. The product is visible, so it will show up in search results, but you wouldn't be able to view it yet in the available to buy online. And again, just to reiterate those rules, anything showing up in available to buy online must meet this criteria. The inventory must be isOnline article true. The status has to be enabled. The on-hand quantity has to be greater than 0. And the stored procedure has to have set available for purchase to true. This will only be true if these inventory properties have been set. So how do these inventory properties get set? Well, that's the purpose of this package. So if we take a look at the OLS inventory package, and take a look at the file that it parses, it's called SAP_OLS inventory. If I open that up real quick, it contains which distribution center and the name of that distribution center that the liquor comes from, or the article comes from. It has the article ID. It also has a listing of the actual amounts of inventory that are available, and it also has the latest date of the extract. So this is basically all the information about what inventory levels were available at the time that this file was generated from SAP. And so if we take a look at the sequences that are available inside of the OLS inventory package, we'll see that there is a validating inventory data step. I won't jump into this. This basically just does the same thing all the packages do. It takes the date fields and turns them into it adds slashes into that so that they are better formatted for inserts into SQL. And then if something happens, we send out an email with any failed rows. And if there's any failure at all in the validation, like the other packages, we send an email and indicating that the import process has failed. Now, this is a little different than the other items that we've seen. It works a little bit differently. And there's some other values in the inventory properties that we haven't spoken of just yet. So let me go over to an example. And if you recall, at this point, we are about to parse this file. And let's just say that this was an isOnline article equals true item that's existing in the product catalog. So prior to the update, available for purchase will still be equal to false. The status is still going to be disabled. The on-hand quantity is still defaulted to 0, and or it's been changed to 0 if this is an update. And the isOnline article is equal to true. So once this runs, the very first thing you see here is there's something called flagged for removal. And the idea behind this is anytime the inventory update runs, at the beginning of it, we essentially flag all of the items that are set with isOnline article. So basically all the items that the business intends to sell, we default them to be flagged for removal. And at the very end of the sequence, we're going to disable any items that are out of stock or that we weren't getting any updates for in terms of having valid stock. So that's basically the way this works. Is the article expects that it will only update and make available items that are contained in the file. So the first thing we do is we set all of the items in the product catalog to flag for removal equal to true. So this next item in the catalog I've set up to represent that state. So as you can see here, it's still visible. Available for purchase is still false. But if I look at the inventory properties, it's now been set to flagged for removal. So that's the first step. So at this point, we're at this step of the process. The next thing that happens is there's a data flow task, and that is about importing the inventory data. So if I go to the edit screen, the one other thing I didn't mention is what is the actual data source, and that is the SQL Server catalog, NSLC_product catalog. The table that we're going to be working with in this package is the default underscore inventory SKUs table, and we'll also be dealing with the catalog products table. We won't be updating any information in the catalog products table about the core base properties of the item, but we will be flipping the available for purchase flag if inventory is valid for a specific item in the feed. And then for the inventory field, we will also be changing a few values in here. We'll be modifying the amount of the on-hand quantity, and if there is an on-hand quantity greater than 0, then we will be setting the status to enabled. So if we go back to the package and take a look at what's going on, these are all the rows that were successfully transformed, and so this basically represents all of the rows that we want to either update or insert in the inventory catalog. So we come in here, and it looks like there's an extra step in here, and what we're doing in this step is just making sure that we're passing that value of is online article, because we're going to be updating the database. And then we call the familiar stored procedure that does an update, and you'll see here that we're going to pass in the product ID from the file, which is going to be the article ID, the on-hand quantity of inventory. So again, if we were to look at the at the file, we would see that there was a value for the amount of inventory, the as of date from SAP, and we've set in this task before that is online article is defaulted to 1 because this is an online article. So what will happen at that state is this stored procedure will be updated, or the article will be updated, and what you'll see is we'll move to the next example, and this will be the current state of the product after the update runs. The inventory properties will be updated. Flag for removal will be wiped because we don't want this item to be removed when we finish the process. Is online article is still checked. The status is now changed to enabled because the on-hand quantity is greater than 0. And the final thing that is done is available for purchase is flagged to true. Now at this point, the item is available for searching on the site, and if you go to available to buy online, this bottle of wine would meet the requirement because it would have an inventory amount that's greater than 0. The inventory property for status is set to enabled, and is online article is set to true, and the available for purchase flag is set to true. So from a search perspective, the search only looks at this property. But what drives the setting of that property is the inventory of the item itself and whether or not it's an online article. So again, just to kind of recap, if we go back to the control flow, we first validate the file, we double check all the inventory values in it, and we realize that for each article we're passed, and this is synonymous with the on-hand quantity. This is what's known as the SAP as of date, the article ID, and is online article is always set to 1 for all of these. So if we go back in, first thing we do, we set all of the items in the inventory catalog to be flagged for removal. Then we update all of the items in the inventory catalog, and all of the items that are updated, the flag for removal bit will be flipped to false. The final thing that we do is we disable all inventory that we didn't run through in the file. So basically everything else will be set to a status of disabled. That inventory will still show up in the search results so long as, I'm sorry, not the inventory, but those articles will still show up in the search results even if they don't have inventory. They'll show up in the all results view though. If you go to the available to buy online, or you go to the advanced search and select only products available online, the items that have been disabled will no longer show up in search results. And so at the end of the day, this is the final package that needs to run in order to enable inventory on the site.